All right, guys, happy new year to all of you watching. We got the full La Liga Avengers here assembled today to talk about the biggest disappointments in La Liga so far this season. That is right, we are starting hella negative to start the new year. This will be an episode full of hate and bias and nothing else. But, guys, the rules of engagement before we get started: anything can be defined as a disappointment. You can go for any player, you can go for the league overall, you can go for a style of play. Anything is fair game. So down below in the comments, let us know what your biggest disappointment is of the season so far. And if you like videos about La Liga, make sure you hit subscribe. Michael, why don't you kick us off with your first disappointment of La Liga so far? What do you have?
I'm going to be hater number one straight off in 2025. How fantastic. Biggest disappointment for me has been Valencia. Valencia have been, if you look at last season at this time of the season, 17 or 18 matches into the season, they were in 10th place, by the way. They are 19th right now. They had last season, at this point, they had 20 points. They have a grand total of 12 points this season. The same points as Real Valladolid at the bottom of La Liga. And of course, now their manager sacked, Baraja is sacked, and now they're going to bring in the former West Brom manager. Can't remember his name at the moment. That just lose me at this point. But Valencia have just been such a disaster. When you look at them going forward, they don't create a lot of chances. Defensively, Mosquera, who had a pretty decent season last year, he's been underperforming. And it's not a shock either, though, because Valencia, the past 5 years, have spent less money than everybody almost in La Liga. Because obviously Peter Lim is their owner and he doesn't care about the club, and the club is going through a downward spiral. But you would expect a little bit more. I mean, you can't be worse than Espanyol. I'm sorry. You can't be worse than Espanyol. You can't be worse than Leganes. You can't be worse than a lot of these teams. So if you're on the same... And they lost to Real Valladolid. If you lose it to Real Valladolid, you should be getting relegated this season. So for this half of the season, automatic relegation, 100%. So Valencia...
2 wins this season, by the way. 2 wins. That's it.
By the way, Friday, first game of 2025 is against Madrid. We know Real Madrid don't really have a great history at the Mestalla, but I think Valencia, with their new manager, could get a bounce back. But for this first half of the season, biggest disappointment.
Bro. What's kind of surprising for me, first off, I think everybody would say Valencia is a disappointment. But what's surprising for me is I was looking at the last transfer window and like who left the club, who they brought in, and I couldn't really see anybody massive who departed, at least not to the point where you're like, okay, they're on pace for like 30% of the points they had last year. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if do you guys think we're seeing the worst vibes of any football club in the world and it's just soaked into the squad, or what the hell is going on here? Because they shouldn't be good, but they shouldn't be dead last in the table either.
I would say it's either them or Manchester United. Take your pick.
I was going to ask that, actually. I was going to ask Michael on that thread, because I obviously have Valencia in mind, too, as the top two disappointments. But who would you compare them to? For those who don't watch La Liga or they're casuals, right? Who would we actually look at big club around the world and be like, this is the equivalent of this club falling all the way to where Valencia have fallen, right? Because keep in mind, Valencia are historically top four club in Spain.
I would say it's Schalke from Bundesliga. I remember Schalke in the last couple of years. I know it was 4 or 5 seasons ago. They finished second place. They're in the second Bundesliga right now, in 13th or 14th. So that's I would say, comparison between the two clubs. They had a pretty good history in the early 2000s. Obviously, Valencia were much better than Schalke because Schalke bought some Bundesligas. But Manchester United, I mean, they just spend money and they're just a car crash right now. Let's just be honest. Valencia is just self-inflicted because their owner doesn't care about them. But even if their owner doesn't care about them, they're still better than some of these teams on paper. And some of their players have not stepped up this season. And Baraja was... terrible. The fact that you lose to Real Valladolid just said to me, get out of the club and go in a new direction. And let's see what happens, though, because they have been promised that they're going to get new signings for January transfer window. Take that how you want with Peter Lim as the owner.
You're going to have the craziest string of loans ever to stay up.
One thing I'll add is I had him as my second disappointment, of course. I think we probably all did. They had that useless friendly against the Mexican national team. Do you guys remember?
Forgot about that.
Is that their high point this year? Is that their high point?
How could I forget?
Probably.
You talking about the comeback You're talking
of
about the
the century.
remontada against Mexico?
Yeah, the 2-0 remontada. Yeah.
The most useless game of all time. The only thing that
Oh
I'll
my
add
gosh.
here, which again we can
Oh,
all agree
Jesus.
this is just a massive disappointment, but it's a similar story to my beloved Leeds United. If you guys remember, they were both
That
in the
was going to be my team.
2001. They were both in the 2001 Champions League semifinal. Valencia went on to lose the final. They went to back-to-back Champions League finals in the early 2000s. And then Leeds went, 16 seasons in the championship. And now that we've been teetering up and down, hopefully we go up, this season straight away. But it has a lot of the same feels of like one bad season and then you just can't get it back together. So hopefully it's not a string of multiple seasons of Valencia, being this bad, because think of it as like, when Leeds back in the day, they were the last champion before the Barclays, rebranded to the Prem, right? Like they were a pretty big brand in English football. Valencia, I would argue, are top 4, top 5. So hopefully it's not the same, trend or the same thing that happened to Leeds, but that's kind of my, for the people who are listening to the podcast and kind of think of English Premier League, I would say this is very similar to what happened to Leeds.
Do you guys think though they have a bad squad?
I personally didn't think it was that bad coming into this season. Me and Andre talked about this a lot, actually. We tried to predict like who the next, team beyond the big three was going to be, contending with them outside of maybe Bilbao, outside of maybe what Girona did last season. To me, Valencia finishing 9th, Hugo Duro having, what do you have, like 13, 14 goals last season? He was almost a top 10 scorer. You look at this season, bro, he's got 4. Like, they just can't create any opportunities. And he's not taking them either. I'm not going to let him off the hook here and say that, he's been clinical with what he's been given and it just sucks for him right now. But, bro, I don't know. I think individual performances that were there for them last season and kept them in that top half of the table are just non-existent so far in 24-25.
And I think they got some decent players like Hugo Duro, Pepe Lu. But the problem is for them, if they get relegated, they're going to be screwed. They might go to 3rd division at that point because Mamadashvili is going to leave, Pepe Lu will leave, Hugo Duro will leave. So it is vital. And also, we already know that Mamadashvili is going to leave next summer. So they got to stay up. If they don't stay up, they are going to be in serious. They're going to turn into another Deportivo La Coruña.
Or Malaga or something.
Or Malaga, yeah. Yep.
That's what I don't understand. From like from like a money standpoint.
Yeah.
Peter Lim surely knows that his investment is gone if they get relegated. That's what I don't understand. It's like I get it that they have debt and stuff, and that's why they don't spend money. But if you don't do something, the money's gone forever. Right? Maybe it's better to take out more money, go more into debt, with the proposition of then being able to slowly pay it back versus getting relegated, and then you are doomed. And it's not even bad for La Liga, which I think it is, because I think Leeds United or Schalke is a great comparison. I mean, Schalke's in Bundesliga too with a 100K capacity stadium. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
They still sell out. But I think it's also bad for Spain because I remember when I did my little Tour de España a couple years ago, the number one thing I was excited about when I went to Valencia was to go see a game and do a stadium tour. And that's because of the nostalgia of, this is a team that always had sick uniforms, by the way. They're the Bats. Yeah. I mean, sickest mascot, I think, outside of the Colchoneros. And I just wonder if they fall, what does that mean? Of course, not just for the club and the league, but like for the city overall. Like they can only be bad for so long before nobody wants to go see the stadium anymore. Tourists don't want to go see a game.
And the city's struggling too. Look at what the city's just been through. Right? Yeah, like just this year alone. I mean, there's so much that could negatively spin off of this that, it's tough. It's tough as a business to try to figure out how you manage the debt and try to save this team from relegation, because that's the best case scenario. You go out, you buy, I don't know, a couple players, spend a little bit more money than you wanted to originally for this season, and then you just avoid relegation, got to figure it all out again for next season. It's a tough conundrum they're in. Like, I don't know. I almost think you still have to try and get more out of what you have. Right? More out of Hugo Duro, more out of Pepe Lu. Mamadashvili is leaving no matter what, so you're going to have to replace him. It's just, there's a lot of headaches. And then you got to ask yourself, too, if they fall out, who's next? My mind goes to teams like Sevilla, maybe, right? Who are kind of starting that slippery slope. I don't know, man. It gets a little dicey for some of these teams that we feel have been just, staples in La Liga for such a long time.
Yeah. And the Peter Lim as an owner is obviously a disaster, and I'm not sure about the entire structure of the, who calls all the footballing shots at Valencia. But you even look at what they've been doing in the last couple of transfer windows. It's like just been an exodus of talent, and the guys they're bringing in, it's like they're not even trying. I mean, I understand that they don't have the money to go out and buy somebody for 10 mil. Like right now, that's a massive deal for Valencia. But you cannot tell me there are not some players out there for a million, 2.5 mil, even free transfers. Like I'm looking at what Sevilla brought in. They brought in Khedira Ejuke from CSK Moscow on a free. He's been a top 5 player for them this year. So it's like not only do they have an owner that don't give a damn, there's no ball knowledge either. Zero ball knowledge at Valencia. Nobody's making good moves.
Look who they hired 8 years ago. Gary Neville. I think that should tell you everything about this club and the owner.
Yeah.
That was the start of the fall.
That was the start, exactly.
They should have seen it coming, for sure.
We should have seen it.
That
Dude, the league was around 8
God,
million.
if we had the podcast then, we had the podcast then, that would have been awesome.
I think fans now just live to shit on Gary Neville. By the way, like it's just gotten to that point now, right? But that face he made, where the camera panned in on him, and they were playing against MSN, and the score was like 7-0 over the top of his head.
Oh my god,
that meme is going to be on the internet forever. Like, just
Yeah.
I don't think he'll manage ever again.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about
Andre,
Valencia
why
is
don't you? let's hear your concluding thoughts, and then why don't you relay us into the next one?
beautiful. The only thing that I actually was thinking about is I'd love to see former legends come back to the club and help out some way. We saw it with Oviedo, right, in a much smaller club. But when you think of all the legends that have come out of Valencia, whether it's former players or even former coaches, just like, why don't you rally the boys and say, hey, like, we love this club. The city like rallies behind it. No offense to Levante by any means. But they're in different levels here. And so I think, to Jose's point, that's one of the things that, like, football does more than just provide entertainment and you forget about what's going on in life. It really brings people together. And when, the team's struggling this deep, I feel like some of those legends have to come back and say, hey, whatever you need from me, whether it's, as, sporting director or as an assistant coach or whatever the hell they can do, scouting, football is all about relationships, right? And all those guys have played all over the world. Like, I'm sure they can figure something out. So I would love to see a little bit more love from the former legends, if that makes sense.
Bring Jordi Alba back,
done
bro.
before.
Fuck it.
It's been
Bring
done
David
before,
Villa back. Villa, lace him up. Let's go, man.
Juan
Little's
Mata.
not doing it.
For free.
Mata still got it, bro. Fuck it. Let's do it. Bring it back. Bring it back. I'm totally down for that. Totally down.
Something.
Might be waiting for a
something.
Lim exodus before that happens.
Yeah, it's true.
We may not know what's going on behind the scenes for sure. Yeah.
You know what? Something Jack touched on a little bit ago in terms of because one of the things that I had on my list was really interesting. Looking at this season and the individuals. We're talking about Valencia, right? But look at last season and how many different types of individuals on teams actually stood out, right? Like, I don't know, like Dovbyk was here, Savinho was here. We're talking a lot about the business someone like Valencia could bring in. Look at how much of an exodus there technically was from last season to this season in La Liga. Gundogan's no longer here. Cruz is no longer here. And it, at the same time, a lot of movement in the offseason got me excited for what could happen this season. And sure, seeing Barcelona right out the gate flying, awesome. Now the big three are definitely all in the title race, and it's great. It's close. And that's great. But we've had that storyline I don't know how many different times, right? Year over year. It's one of the three probably going to take it. Last year, it felt like magic a little bit, right? Like, Girona, we're going to do something. Bilbao is going to find a way to steal a cup. You had all these individual talents that were just commanding headlines in a way that not fully distracted from the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, but it just felt like parity was finally coming into play, right? And it was almost done just through sheer individuals. But as it always happens, right? Whether it's the Premier League or anybody else, kind of snaps all those guys up. And I was hoping we would effectively just replace those guys this season with some other new stars that pop up and put a great new spotlight on La Liga. It's happened a little bit. There have been some signings that have been pretty good. We talked about them in a couple different videos. But I just want to see more of that, I guess. More discovery in the second half of the season, because it's been a little bit disappointing so far.
Okay. I like that. Kind of like kind of disappointed overall with the transfer strategy of the league.
Yeah, I hate the Prem getting all the fucking headlines. I'll be honest, bro. Like I hate it. Like you know what I mean? It's just just dude. There's so much quality football in La Liga. All it really you need to do is sprinkle in a few very key players that stand out and get headlines above the big three. I'm telling you, man. Like Dovbyk, I'm amazed he went to Roma just considering what he was doing last season. The guy was an absolute superstar. You look at Baena is still putting in a masterclass on the assist front, but the guy was at another level last season. He was up there with Nico Williams, Savinho was in the mix, Jan Couto was in the mix. All these guys, minus Baena, have departed. And I'm not like complaining about it per se. I still watch as many games as possible. I just want to get back to that place where I feel like there were stars in little pockets on more than 6, 7, 8 different teams in the league. It was so fun to watch, despite the fact that my team went fucking trophyless.
No, I will say though, talking to a bunch of my friends who just follow other leagues other than La Liga, after the Ronaldo Messi thing, really when you think about it as a whole, right, as a product, like those Clásicos that were just like, everybody the world stops to watch these games. I agree with Jose. I think we need to, I don't know if it's a league approach or whatever it might be, or even like the big four, but the Mbappe deal, yeah, obviously it's going to make headlines, but that's not going to drive eyeballs or take away eyeballs from Serie A, EPL, Bundesliga over to La Liga. I think it needs to be a much better product overall so that people are like, oh, I'm going to watch EPL, but I'm also going to watch La Liga. I'm not saying that we need to like cannibalize viewership here, but it has to go back to those trends of the 2010 to 2020, that decade of like everybody's watching La Liga. And
Could La Liga
signing.
Yeah. Could La Liga recreate the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry?
Right.
Could they do that?
I mean, probably. But then at that point, you're going back to what that product was, right? You're not evolving into something else. And so, like, what? You bring Holland to Barcelona? Are people really going to watch? They're going to watch the Clásicos, but they're not really going to watch, like, Barcelona, Leganés. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Week in and week out.
Maybe
I don't think that's the right
complain that teams can't retain talent. Look how much talent is in this league, bro. Like I said, all these guys are now gone because some of the biggest clubs snapped them up. I want there to be, again, just another showing, another wave of young talent that isn't really known, that pops up and makes some of these teams who are a little bit obscure previously way more relevant. And that's kind of what I want to see.
I think I said this in the last Deadball TV podcast episode, but I felt for the last couple of years that the overall strategy for La Liga is poor. Like, I think they let leagues like the Bundesliga and Serie A and now Saudi Arabia, even Qatar sometimes, kind of steal some players away that I'm looking at. I'm like, dude, I'm a marketing guy. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, you cannot let a player of this caliber leapfrog you guys and go to Italy because now Serie A is on the come up. You can't let them go to the Bundesliga. Like, a guy like Michael Elise or Harry Kane or whoever it may be. You got Christian Pulisic. You got to do whatever you can do to get these guys in. And it seems like if the top 3 clubs in Spain aren't interested, and of course Bilbao because they just need to have Basque players, it seems like if those 3 teams say, "No, I'm good," then it's just straight to Dortmund or something, and it's hurting the league. It is. It's hurting the product.
Bro, Girona has the biggest example. They got absolutely pillaged harder than any tribal group in the history of time, bro. Like
harder than any monastery.
Yes, bro. I mean, they were pillaged so hard. Their 3 best players all gone, and they don't effectively replace any of them. Like, what did City Football Group do with those funds? Like, what did they do with them? Like, I want to see the reinvestment. True. I forgot about the 130 plus charges. I just want to see like bro, when you make that much money, bring it back. Like, as much as I don't like Atletico Madrid, for example, it was cool to see them. Hey, they hadn't spent big in a couple of years. Fuck it, let's bring some big stars over and let's make this title race very, very competitive. You want to see more of that. You don't want to see the same 2, 3, 4 horse race that we always see.
But then the problem is, if you want to give, because basically it's going to need foreign investors into the league to get obviously more transfer fees. So if you want foreign investors, we just talked about it, Peter Lim. Do you always trust these foreign investors to have the greatest insight about football? Another example would be AC Milan. They just got new owners a couple of years ago. They're Americans. They don't know what they're doing. They sacked their greatest icon ever as a technical director and just started spending money like this and that. Now, if you actually, I think Serie A right now, if you want to just say like from top to bottom, is a far superior league to La Liga. And obviously I watch the leagues, and obviously Premier League is number one because Premier League just spend the money. The problem for La Liga is a lot of these teams are just losing too much talent each season. Betis lose talent. Look, Betis are losing one of their best talents to Como. To fucking Como. I mean, for 11 million they're paying. Como just got promoted, and Como are owned by Indonesians, and I think they own like the tobacco or something like that. And they're one of the richest owners in football. So if the Serie A is able to have that sort of team in their league, combined with the teams that are already doing very well, like Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, that's the issue. So I think some of these teams have to kind of look at how Atalanta do business. You have to just do smart transfer strategy and have a good manager. Some of these teams, they just don't have a good transfer strategy.
Yeah. I agree
100%.
with that. I agree with that.
You don't need to splash the cash.
No, you don't.
Like, I mean, when we did our signings this season, Mother effing Ayosi Perez was either number 1 or number 2 on our list. How much did he cost? 4 mil?
Yeah, 4
like,
mil.
you don't
Lo Celso, 5 million.
Yeah.
5 million. These exist. I just think that La Liga, I don't know if it's like the Spanish quota. I don't know what it is, but there are markets out there to buy cheaper players. Like, look at South America and don't necessarily look at Brazil, because the Brazilian tax is crazy. But don't tell me there ain't guys in Paraguay you could buy for 2 mil. They're going to come over and be the next Enciso. Don't tell me that you can't look at somebody. I mean, the J League, is the talent there is insane. You can buy Kaoru Mitoma for 3 mil. But they don't do it.
Is that realistic? Like that price tag?
Maybe he won't be that
I
good,
actually
but
rate
maybe
Mitoma heavily. That's why I'm asking the question.
No, but he's saying directly from the J League. You could have bought
Oh,
Mitoma.
directly from the
Yeah,
J
that's
League.
what he was saying. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no. Not from
Yeah.
Brighton. Oh, no.
I was like, there's no way. He's going
No. He's going for 65 mil. No, but
I
that's my
get what
point. You
Tebas
could've
tries
got
to
it
do.
for
Yeah, I agree. I get what Tebas's argument to this point has been like, we want to keep this league Spanish. Like, fine, right? But then when talent exits, there still has to be an incentive to reinvest in every side, and it shouldn't just be the top 1% of clubs in this league. It needs to actually be everybody. Like, what markets the league more than anything else is parity. People love the Premier League because we all know as fans who watch a lot of football, they're pretty good. I wouldn't say Premier League teams are the best in the world. They're pretty good, right? But the marketing is fantastic, and there's a decent amount of parity to an extent as you get close to the middle of the table and whatnot. I hate in La Liga that so many games feel like a gift for some of the top teams. Like, I want there to be just more competition kind of all the way around. So
The La Liga needs to turn into Serie A. Serie A has had 4 different winners in the last 6 years.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
La
been
Liga
really
needs.
competitive.
They need a somebody like a Villarreal, which would be a miracle if they won La Liga. They need one of those teams to win the title. They need it because then other teams will be like, hey, we actually got a chance now. No team is going to emulate what the Madrid and Barca teams did in the early 2010. Those teams were getting 100 points. Do you know how ridiculous that is? No, we're not in that era anymore. Now you can win the league similar to La Liga in the early 2000s where it's about 70 points to 80 points. That's enough. So teams just got to be more brave. I think teams are just too safe.
The last thing, Jose, about keeping the league Spanish. I mean, this is just the 3 examples that come to mind right away. But how does Aymeric Laporte leave to wherever he is, Saudi Arabia? How do you not retain Nacho? How does David De Gea not end up in a team? And
that was fucking
That was
shocking, to
crazy.
be honest.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Are you kidding me? For a whole season?
Yeah.
Like, brother, you're telling me not a single team out of the 20 in the top flight is gonna want David De Gea, and he's been balling for Fiorentina. Like, those are just little examples here and there of big names, but you can go endless list of all these examples.
If Valencia was smart, they
Spanish
would have
talent.
sold Mama and brought
Thank
in
you.
De Gea, and then De Gea's
Exactly.
going to do 85 to 90% of the work.
The same shit.
So you just banked 35 mil
Yeah.
and got in a Spaniard. What the hell are we doing here? That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know what's going on in these boardroom meetings, but clearly nobody's consulting any of us because it just seems directionless. No, it's like the league has gotten used to there being 2 teams with an occasional third challenger, and they're like a stubborn old man. It's like, well, this is how I used to do it, so we're gonna keep. It's like, bro,
Exactly.
the world has changed. I think the marketing for the league kind of sucks too.
It does.
Like, even the
Dude, they gotta
talent that
bump
is
that
here-
shit up. They gotta bump that shit up.
Come on, bro.
I mean,
Run some
with
Instagram
that
ads.
new new logo, it's trash.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, they took a step back with that.
Yeah.
They took a
Massive
step
help.
back with that. But even then, man, like you gotta bring a spotlight. I think when you're watching the game, I actually think the product is better than the Prem. I love the overlays. I love the stats. I love the
Clean.
8K.
shot.
The AK cameras, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All they really need to do is I've seen some of that. The one counterpoint I'll have to what Jack just said is that this is the first time this past summer so I'm based in Dallas, but I saw events in Dallas, LA, and I believe in New York. La Liga legends coming to like kick off the season with fans. So I think in Dallas it was Forlan, but I can't remember who it was. The two locations, but that was it. There was a few days ahead of it, some marketing, brought some fans in, cool, have a good time, autographs, whatever. Just watch the opening games. Nothing since then. And it's kind of crazy that America right now is just this untapped opportunity to capture football fans at scale. The Prem's doing it like because nobody else is competing with them for it. La Liga has a great opportunity to like jump in and start trying to steal some of these fans away.
Yeah, so I think we're all in agreement that things could be run better with the league, and even with its current state. I mean, I still love La Liga, but I do get frustrated every summer window where I'm like, why did Sevilla sell that guy? Or why did they sell him? Oh my God, they brought in who to replace him? Like, no, it's just.
Do we know how much money La Liga spent this summer in comparison to the rest of the top five?
I'll get that up.
Great.
I'd be really curious.
On for this one,
Also, I love how we started talking about Valencia, and then we basically.
I mean,
said
they're a shining example of what we're talking about, though, right?
Well,
like
the
a
microcosm
just,
of La Liga.
Yeah, and honestly, of Tebas as president, if I'm being honest, like he does bear a lot of the
100%.
responsibility for how this has all gone. So
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Media circus.
Yeah, it's again, it's cool to make money and have players go on and prove that La Liga that had the talent to be relevant in any other league around the world. It's just we gotta find a way to backfill that.
I got it now. La Liga spent the fifth most, but their transfer balance was a plus, 750k more. They spent less than Liga Bundesliga.
750k? Like, come on, man.
God, no, man.
So La Liga spent 557 million compared to Serie A. Serie A spent $1 billion last summer.
Double that. That's insane.
750 mil. That's what we spent at the bars last night on New Year's.
Yeah.
No wonder the league's heading down.
Yeah.
They said it's a recession, bro. Chill.
A recession, the never-ending recession.
The never-ending recession.
Oh, that was interesting. I think I'm gonna upload that as a separate clip. I have a very, very quick disappointment. Yeah, this is gonna be straight hating, but I don't care. I'm going Sebastian Haller, bro. I gotta go Haller, dude. First player we're nominating, bro. He's on loan from Dortmund. And we were just talking about how La Liga needs these signings. Well, actually, on paper, Haller's a pretty damn good signing for Leganés to make. He should have been should have been in our top 5 signings of the season. Instead, he's on the top 5 worst signings of the season as a goddamn loan. Like, he should be the star player on this team. It's insane. Do you guys know when Haller's last league goal was?
Oh, God.
Great
I
question.
have
Any
no
competition.
idea.
April.
Which April?
Last year, April.
So even before he went to...
Bro, asking which
yeah.
April is a massive shot on Haller's. Anyway, go ahead. That's just a massive shot to take.
Bro,
Are you saying...
his last league goal was May 21st, 2023.
Wow.
Year and a half ago?
Really?
Year and a half ago. Yep.
How's he been doing for Ivory Coast?
Has
he been solid at all? Like, I don't know.
He
scored in the
scored the
semifinal and the final.
He scored the winning goal to win the AFCON.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
But he can't start for Leganés. This man has 400 minutes played all season.
Oh my!
Can't start for Leganés, dude. He's played 15 minutes since Halloween. No
Bro,
injuries.
Oh, my God.
No injuries. 0 goals. 0 assists. 8 matches. And I think he's 30 years old.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wait, I remember I saw this earlier today. Dortmund are about new details going on. The loan with Leganés is set to be terminated. He's going to Eredivisie.
Where if he doesn't cook there, it might be time. It might
Where's
be
it going? Where's it going? Groningen?
Utrecht.
Utrecht, dude. If he does not score 12 goals in the second half of the season, we might have to stop talking about this man. Like, I don't want to hate on him because, I know he overcame cancer and that's incredible. And he got an AFCON, so
Can't hate.
I love Ivory Coast. Can't hate on him for that, but I can hate on you for how you've been doing for Leganés. And the fact, bro, you got terminated early? That's embarrassing, dude. That's
Imagine being
embarrassing.
Didier Drogba and being like, this guy's supposed to be the next me. And now he's in fucking Utrecht.
Well,
Bro.
to be fair though, Haller has more AFCONs than Drogba.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's true.
That's true.
It's true. But still, imagine
fair.
getting loaned to 15th place La Liga side and not being good enough to finish the loan. It's just crazy. Wow.
Leganes, bro. Who's benching him? That De La Fuente guy? That's crazy. It's not even like he went to Las Palmas and we had a Fabio Silva renaissance out of nowhere. It's fucking Leganes. I think Marco De La Fuente, I think his name is Marco or Marcos. I think that's their striker. And I think he has 2 goals. So, inexcusable. Completely inexcusable. One player needed to be mentioned here.
We just talked about how bad Valencia were, Jack. We talked about how bad they were. Leganes have scored 1 more goal this season than Valencia. And again, Haller can't find a way to break through. It's just kind of crazy to me.
Dude, he doesn't even make the bench half the time. You're not even making the bench, dude. AFCON champion, MVP. Come on, bro. That's Adingra might have won MVP of the final, but still crazy, man. Crazy. A flop nobody's talking about. All right, that's mine.
Love it.
Who wants to go next? Anybody else have a player?
I don't.
I kind of touched on mine already, but I said Hugo Duro.
I do actually.
Hugo Duro, wow. Michael, I
do have a player.
Swear to God, if you say Sorloth, I gotta end the episode.
No, I can't. No, Sorloth is one of my successes right now after what he did against Barcelona.
Bro.
the 180 flip has happened. You guys might be shocked here. You guys might be shocked here. One of my disappointments is Nico Williams.
Fair.
I'm a little bit. It's fair, but I'm a little bit still surprised. I'll be honest.
Honestly, 1 goal this season. 1 goal. Like, my guy, you had a great summer. You scored at the final of the Euros. Everybody was talking about you. Barcelona were going to sign you, even though good thing you didn't go to Barcelona because, well, we see what happened with Dani Olmo. But that's a discussion for another day.
That's exactly why he didn't want to go.
That's exactly why he didn't want to go, and he was smart. There was rumors of going to Arsenal. But this season, you have 1 goal. Now, he's been doing well, I would say, in the Europa League, doing well against Fenerbahce and other teams. But when I watch him play every weekend, he's getting into the good positions. But his shooting this season, I remember he had a 1-on-1 chance. I think it was against Leganes or one team away from home. Skied it. Didn't even get on. No, it was Valladolid, which could have made it 2-0. And they drew the game 1-1. So Nico has the talent. There's no doubt about it. But now he's got to add that more goals and assists to his game. He's got, I think, 3 assists this season, but you have to add some goals to your repertoire. You can't just come in with, oh, here's all my assists, and then I'll show up for Spain, and then I'll show up in the Europa League. No, you got to show it on a consistent basis for Athletic Club in League, and just 1 goal is kind of a disappointment. Even though he's not really a goal scorer, I think his highest goal tally in La Liga is 6 goals. You got to at least get 5 goals this season. I'm sorry. You're getting older. You're having more experience. You have to at least get 7 goals this season.
How many assists does he have? Like 2 or 3?
I think
3.
I think he's got 3 this season. Okay, he's got 3, yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it's because Iñaki, Michael, might have stepped up a little bit? I see what you're saying. I think that, like, and even Sancet, right? Sancet looked, I think, to kick off this season a little bit better, like a true, not just a 10, but a 10 that could sit behind the striker as like that second goal scorer in that lineup. Iñaki's playing a little bit better. I feel like last season, it felt like Nico had to shoulder a lot. Like, he really had to shoulder a lot offensively for the team. And you saw it with his GA. Like, I think he had like almost 20 GA last season. It was like 16, 17, something like that. I don't know. I see what you're saying, but I feel like maybe my expectation for him was like he couldn't replicate that again this season. I feel like last year he had to do a lot and it showed with where Bilbao finished. But doing it again without adding a ton of new pieces around him to reinforce the squad, I don't know. It seemed like it was a little unrealistic.
I think it's fair to say he's a disappointment because if you had a player 18 games in, right, for Chelsea or Man U or something, and you had 1 goal, 3 assists after being ranked as the 14th best player in the world last year, people would be shredding him alive on Twitter. But because he's not only in La Liga, which doesn't get talked about, he's at Bilbao. He's at Athletic Club, which doesn't really get discussed at all. So he's completely in the shadow. And maybe that's a good thing for him. I'm not saying he deserves to be like dragged or anything. It's not. When I see him, the eye test is still good. Like Michael said, he's getting in the right places. I think he had 1 bad game where I was like, uh-oh. But then since then, he's been great since we called him out 8 episodes ago. I think it's fair to say he's a disappointment, though. If you want to be top 20 in the world, Can't be 1-3.
But do you guys think after the summer he had where he scored in the final that, okay, take the next step in your career? But he hasn't really taken that next step so far as of yet. Now, second half of the season, who knows? He could turn into an absolute monster, and Athletic Club could maybe win Europa League or win again the Copa del Rey, but he needs to be more influential if Athletic Club want to win one of those trophies.
If they win one of those trophies, he's cemented legend.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. And I'll be really interested to see what that does for his own stock come next summer, right? Like, are the same clubs still talking about him? Do they still want him? Is his value still the same? Do they still see that runway? Or are they like, well, he hit his ceiling, to Jose's point, last season. That's his peak. And then from there, it's just going to, kind of stay stagnant. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'll stick up for Nico a little bit in the sense that, like, I feel like this summer was immensely distracting for him. I think the Barcelona
it's your
rumors.
Fault.
Yeah, no,
it's your
100%. 100%. I think
so
the
you're
rumors. I am 1,000%. You definitely blame me. I was twerking on the timeline for Nico to come to Barcelona. No, I should have been.
Hey, you and the rest, bro.
No, I think, and look, if a player crumbles at that kind of pressure, then he's not going to survive the L's that come with being a Barcelona player or anything else. And I will say that's true of any club. When Michael said I expected him to take a step up after the summer he had, I thought the step up would be leaving Bilbao. That's really what I thought. I think when it didn't happen, who knows? Maybe he's disappointed. Maybe the summer didn't meet his own expectations. I think there's a mental side of being a young player that we just don't have insights into as fans. And there's no matter what, there's gonna be a lot of pressure on him coming into this season just based off what he did last year. So I think, kind of humanizing him a little bit and saying, like, look, I get it. I still have big expectations for the second half of the season, but I don't know if teams will go as far as saying that's his peak. I think personally, Arsenal will still find a reason to go in for him. I think that probably likes him a lot. There were all those rumors before Barcelona, and his release clause is what, 50 million? Something
40,
like that?
Yeah, 45, 50, I think.
Yeah. So I think a big club will still go in for him. I just also feel like he's not going to be that game breaker signing that's going to completely revolutionize a forward line. Like, he's a very, very good piece. He will continue to, I think, have the performances and the output that, his teams need him to have. But I don't believe that, like, he's fallen off out of nowhere. I do think that he needs a little more time.
Would you take him at Arsenal coming off the bench, or would you take him more at Barca, maybe actually getting into the starting 11?
Who's keeping him on the bench? Martinelli?
Are you saying Martinelli's better than Nico Williams?
I'm asking Jose.
No. As an Arsenal fan, no. An Arsenal fan, he starts on the left wing. Although I personally, I don't know about Nico in the Prem. That's what I'm still questionable on that. I don't
know about Martinelli in general.
Say what you want. I mean, the production's still there.
You put Nico Williams on Real Madrid, he gets you the Vinny numbers, no problem.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Vinny's numbers aren't even like...
He gets me 15 and 6.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. Nico's a really good player, man. He's a really good player. I just don't think he's like... It's not like signing a Rafael Leao, right? It's not like signing Kvaratskhelia. No. Like when you get a game breaker winger or a player like that, like, that completely changes how you play your game. Those guys are out there. Nico Williams is not one of those players.
He's just out. I would classify him as just out. Like, when he's on,
he's good. Very, very good. Very good.
Argue with that, yeah.
But he's not world class. He's not someone that, like I said, he comes in and just makes every big team around Europe better automatically. It's somewhat debatable just depending on who it is.
Do you think another team achievement with Bilbao would make him world class? Either another Copa del Rey or he wins the Europa League.
Bro, if he wins Europa League, that is massive.
If he wins Europa League, he's going to get all the eyeballs on him. Because then everybody will be watching the final and be like, oh, we forgot about you. We forgot.
The PR will be insane. Yeah,
the PR will be insane.
He's world class if they win the Europa League.
If he has the impact. Now, if we see some of the lukewarm performances that we've been seeing from Nico, but they still somehow win, but it's through individual brilliance from Iñaki or from Sanse or somebody else or Berenguer, like, then it's like maybe a little bit different, right? Again, context is just super important. Important.
Anybody? I have one more disappointment, but does somebody else have another?
I have one more.
I love La Liga. I'm good.
We've gotten all the negativity out this episode. It's going to be positive the rest of the year.
Start the new year.
He's going to pull he's going to pull the Rob Lowe when he was wearing the NFL hat, just a La Liga hat. Just
I need to get one, bro. I need to get one.
Baby, let's go.
With Debas on the front.
I think mine's going to be a little spicy for one of us here on the panel. I will say that it comes with a little bit of bias, but if you listen to my talking points, I think you might be like, okay, I can buy it. Football Club Barcelona, after that 4-0 at Bernabeu with that lead, I can't remember how many points over both Madrid teams. One win in the last 5 with 3 losses, I believe. Could be 6 points behind Atleti, 5 points behind Madrid with the game on hand. Of course, Michael already talked about the Dani Olmo drama. A lot of questions around the non-football side of things. Sure would be a shame if they squander that lead come May.
But I don't know if here's what I will say. It is disappointing, 1,000%. What I will say to that, though, is that, like, I will also say just as much of a disappointment it is to see it now in hindsight. No Barcelona fan came into this season thinking we were even close to that level. Like, none. Like we were basically playing with house money is kind of what it felt like. Right? Like no, bro, nobody saw it after a trophyless season. Like, dude, Xavi won the title 2 years ago and was still getting berated by fans because we weren't playing Barca ball. Like, it's been a half decade now of just like tons of mediocrity at Barcelona, right? And even with titles mixed in, some trophies mixed in, no one's been happy. I can't think of a single member of the fan base has been ecstatic with how we've been playing. So to see Hansi Flick, a new manager, come in and do that, it was like, holy shit. Bro, he had Michael moving mad on the show, bro. He had Michael say we're gonna win the treble, you know? And now it's like yeah. And now reality is hit. And like it does. Football is an amazing humbler. It's an amazing humbler. And so yeah, I won't disagree with what you said. It has been disappointing, but equally the highs sometimes you could say even exceeded the lows just based on the expectation going into the season.
I feel like for you guys, I would say it's like when a team in the NFL or the NBA wasn't projected to make the playoffs, right? And they end up being like the 4 seed or something, right? And then they get swept in the first round. And then everyone's like, well, the season was a failure because you guys were the 4th seed. You should have at least made it to the conference semifinals. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, well, if we remember how we felt in the preseason, if you had told, Orlando Magic fans, you're going to be the 6th seed and lose in the playoffs in 7 games against my Cleveland Cavaliers, then they'd probably be like, damn, that's a pretty good season. I'll take that. So I think at the high, which was high, man, after that Real Madrid game, I think now it feels like a disappointment. But to Jose's perspective, as a neutral in this case, is it that big of a disappointment? I mean, they're still 3 points back. Like, they win 2 games, Atleti and Real drop. It's right back to being number 1. So
I don't think it's been a disappointment for Barcelona, if I'm going to be honest. I think they've shown that they are a good team. Yes, recently with their losses and obviously the embarrassing loss, in my opinion, to Atleti, those can be disappointment. If there's one disappointment with Barcelona, it's Laporta. That's it. The dude is such a PR machine. He is so good at tricking all these Barcelona fans into believing he knows what he's doing. Because
Jerry
what we
Jones.
he's Jerry Jones. Basically, he talks.
great comparison.
Great. Oh my God, that is fantastic. He is the Jerry
I
Jones.
live in Dallas, boys. I live in Dallas. I live in Dallas.
Hey,
I was gonna say that.
That's your like button for that. Oh,
and we all
Yeah.
hate. Like I totally respect where you're coming from.
No, yeah, exactly. And Laporta, like, you cannot make that signing of Dani Olmo and then say we can't register him. Now, of course, maybe La Liga and there was some trouble within there, but I mean, it's just embarrassing for that's the biggest disappointment, is that in the future, are players going to trust Laporta and the board and saying, hey, are we going to get registered? That's why Nico didn't want to go. I think that's the biggest disappointment for Barcelona. On the field, yes, there could be some troubles with the defense and that sort of stuff. Maybe midfield or Lewandowski could be a disappointment recently. But I don't think it's something that's like warranting the disappointments of La Liga so far. The board, I mean, that's just the biggest L at the moment.
Yeah. And keep in mind too, politically, right? There's so much that plays into that too. Right now, there's potentially a call for no confidence, a vote of no confidence potentially in Laporta. We'll see if that happens. I think that, and I think the guy who's leading the whole charge, I don't know if he has the answers per se, Victor Font. I think he wanted was what happened last season, right? Or the last 2 seasons. He wanted Xavi to come in because he believed the youth was the path to getting out of the hole that we're in. And he's right, but like it still didn't solve it. Right? Like Xavi was so realistic to a point it felt like he was conceding the league before it even started. Laporta is a PR machine. He doesn't want any that type of negativity out in the atmosphere, in the market. He wants things to seem like they're just completely rosy at Barcelona. When in reality, if you follow this club at all, you know how down bad certain aspects of this club really are. Just financially, from a number of other perspectives. The fact that we've won titles since we almost went bankrupt is actually pretty damn impressive. Because many clubs don't go on to climb out of the hole that way.
When's the stadium done?
The same as, well, March is when it will be done. I don't know if we'll play in it this season. That's another major expense, which again, the reason why the Olmo signing, as much as I loved it, I agree with Michael, did not make sense. You should have just gone into this season with what we have. We got what we got. It's cool. We made some signings in the past. It is what it is. We're not going to replace anybody big. We're just going to try and bring our brand of football back. And I'm glad Hansi Flick has done that. But we could have done that without spending a bunch of money we didn't have on Dani Olmo. It didn't make sense.
Do you think that transfer was a bit of a panic buy for two reasons? One, because of injuries, and two, because you didn't want anybody else to get him, so you're like, fuck it, we have to get him now?
No, we didn't want anyone else to get him. I think it's two things. I think Laporta, he's talked about this for 2 years now, that he wants to bring La Masia graduates back, that he wants Barcelona to be Barcelona, right? And so I want to bring old Catalan personalities and players back because at a minimum, it reinstills our identity. So he's wanted Dani Olmo publicly for like 2 years now. I think, two, it's also to save face because it looks like for the first time in a long time, a young player has turned down FC Barcelona. A young player who basically we were twerking for on the timeline, and we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. It's actually kind of shocking. A 22-year-old Basque kid didn't want to come play for us when the call came. And now it's like, well, shit, what are we going to do? We're just going to take this L and not move from it? No. So we go out and we squeeze every penny we can out of the bank to get Dani Olmo, and in reality, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, you had to save face.
Yeah,
I think it's also because Madrid made the signing of Mbappe, Endrick, and Barcelona are like, do we got anything, guys? Laporta, okay, make the signing, buddy. We gotta get the shiny toys. We gotta get the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. So, I mean, Laporta, this dude just cares about buffets. That's all he does.
The market. Gary Jones is the most accurate comparison because I think they're one of the few like presidents or GMs in sports who will legitimately sacrifice, I think, sometimes wins for good PR and good marketing. As long as you're moving enough apparel, you're moving enough kits out there, ticket sales are still good, right? You sign a player every now and then to keep everybody the vibes at a good high. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, y'all got those cool Spotify sponsors that change every game.
Hey, the Coldplay one was my favorite though. No cap.
That's pretty sick.
Would you wear against Madrid?
It was a Coldplay one.
It was that one.
That was Coldplay? That was the best one. That was the best one.
Yeah. The Rolling Stones one last
Rolling
season
Stones was
kind of
last year.
It actually kind of pissed me off.
Just wasn't on brand. I'm glad that they allowed them
tongue
to
in the
use
middle of your
gold
fucking
or
jersey,
yellow.
bro. I don't. Sorry, I'm out. I'm out.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Hey,
Honestly, sounds kinda fire.
nothing beats the Atletico Madrid like Spider-Man kits and
Those were sick though.
old school
Yeah.
mid
Bro.
2000s. Holy shit! And they were the total 90 kit too, by the way. Those are
By the
sick.
way, we keep the show going. We got it when we have our kit rankings for next season. They're bringing a lot of that early 2000s vibes back with kits, so I'm really really excited for next season. It's gonna be fired. It's gonna be fired.
that'll be fire. Hit subscribe for that. I'll bring us in here with my last disappointment, and this is probably going to get me placed on a no-flies list, but that's okay. I'm just going the city of Sevilla overall, man. I'm so done with these guys, bro. I'm so
city?
done with Betis
Overall?
and Sevilla. Both teams, dude. Massive L to both. The best team in Sevilla is in 9th place right now. Sevilla are down there in 14th. It's embarrassing, dude. It is embarrassing. These two teams, much like Valencia, they don't have squads that should be pushing for the title, but they should be better than they are. Betis have no excuse to be 9th. They have a way better squad than 9th. Even
And
Sevilla.
both
how
stadiums
you the bottom
are
half, bro?
a fortress, by the way, or they used to be
Correct.
at least. So
And you know what's the worst part? Most of the time, they play terrible football. Terrible
Sevilla
football.
especially.
Oh,
Sevilla
they're a
especially,
terrible watch, man. It's insane. I found a stat here that kind of blew my mind. Luca Bacchio has scored 50% of the goals for Sevilla this season, which is more than any other player for any other team in La Liga. 50% of their goals. The top goal
Luka.
scorer outside Luka Bacchio has 2 goals. I think it's Isaac
Is it-
Romero.
Yeah, I think it's Isaac Romero, who had no goals about 2 weeks ago. So
2 weeks ago, yeah.
As I say, yeah, he's had a big December, but that's pretty much it. I was gonna say on the Betis front, if we're gonna like move from Sevilla to Betis, we talked about big chances missed a lot on this show, and it's just throughout. And we know Mbappe and Levon, just because of the sheer volume of chances they get, they're gonna be always kind of be at the top of that list. Especially Levon now with how many fucking chances he's missed in December. But bro, Eze Abde is right beneath them. His shot conversion rate is 2.3%.
His
Keep in
XG
mind-
is 7, and he has 1
Yeah, I
goal.
think it's
Lewandowski's having
I
a
think-
terrible like run of form lately, and his shot conversion rate's still 25%. Like it's still like halfway decent. This man's at 2.3 fucking percent. That's insane. Dude, that many chances, you got to start. It's just hitting the fucking target. Just doing something. It can't be a Lo Celso free kick or penalty every game to save you. Like you got to start converting these chances.
They've gotten
That's
up twice this year for Barca and Atleti. That's it. Am I a little salty about that? Yes, I am. But every other time I try to watch Real Betis, bro, it's a disaster. It's a disaster watching these guys. It's like they're playing for the draw every game. I don't understand it.
I mean, and now that they sold Asandao to Como, what the heck are Betis going to do with the money? What are they going to sign? Realistically, do you trust them with 11 million? Get another Timmy Avila? Come on, guy. Come on, Betis. I mean, Sevilla, they've been a car crash the last 2 years, so I'm not actually surprised that they're struggling. And then, I mean, I look at their transfer window, and you're getting Iheanacho, who has 0 goals. I mean, like, what do you want me to do with this team at the moment? So Sevilla, it's going to take them a couple years, really, to get back to a competitive front. And for Betis, I mean, they're just going to struggle even more. They just cannot spend the money, and I don't know what they're going to do with the money from Asan. So, yeah, the city of Sevilla is down bad.
Down bad, man. And these are the teams that are not pulling their weight when it comes to making the league attractive. It is what it is. Who's looking at Real Madrid and being like, the team's boring. Nobody wants to watch. Everybody wants to watch Real Madrid. Everybody wants to watch Barcelona, especially playing flick ball. People look at Atleti and they're like, oh my God, they spent 180 million in a transfer window? Like, what the hell's going on? I'm going to tune into these guys.
Yep.
What the hell is everybody else doing? Those tier 2 teams, the Sociedad, the Betis, the Sevilla. Hey, bro, it's up to you now. Here's the baton. Do something. They're doing F-ball. Everton is playing better ball under Sean Dyche than Real Betis. It's insane. Like, they are doing a disservice to Spain.
Sociedad had a shit opening 2 months of the season, and we were dragging them on this show. They're comfortable. Well, now it's actually comfortably in 7th. They're tied on points with Betis, but it just shows you like just how perfectly mid at best these two sides have been. Like Sociedad were terrible, just trying to figure out after losing some key pieces, and again, they're still in a better position for Europe.
Yeah, I think
So we'll
Sociedad still have the most losses at home this season.
Which is
4.
crazy.
Insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now with that said,
two other
teams like
teams have the
Mallorca
same.
are
I think Valladolid too, but
yeah. But I mean, Aguasil's figured it out, right? The manager. So I mean, and also just start playing Kubo more. I don't want to go on a harp on Sociedad, but there's ways to kind of fix how they're playing too. So they'll be competitive. But Betis, man, they have a big shot to just like stay up there with the Mallorcas and the Sociedads of the world. They just got to start converting, bro. The chances are there.
It's not even just La Liga for Betis. They've been struggling big time in Europe. I don't think they made it to the top 8. They didn't even make the top 8 of the Conference League. They allowed a Swedish team, Djurgården, to make the top 8. 2 Polish teams made, and Real Betis could have made.
Mallorca would do so much more with this. They really would.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really would.
100%.
and imagine if this Mallorca still had Egang in.
Oh
Just
yeah.
balling at PSG.
Yeah.
You want to talk about talent that you should not have let go? How do you let that guy go? Insane. No, I can't stand it. I'm done with Sevilla. I'm not watching the second derby. I mean,
Jack's legitimately mad.
watched
You guys don't understand the group chat. Like there's always there's like a weekly pissed off message about Sevilla. So I mean,
do something for the league. Help the league. Get Sergio Ramos back in. I don't care. Do something that makes people care. Because right now it's
they celebrate
Navas.
Celebrate Navas, that's pretty much it.
Oh, yeah.
He's gone now. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's gone now. Yeah.
So who's next? Who are we cheering for now? You brought in Valentin Barco. You played him twice and then terminated his loan. Okay. What now?
I forgot
I don't know.
about Bacchio.
I can't with these guys.
I'm telling you right now, Luca Bacchio, he might go to Serie A this January transfer window.
Ooh, I could see
Don't be
that.
shocked by that. I do not be shocked by it. It could happen.
That would suck.
And he's
bro.
gonna go to like Lazio or something. He's not even gonna go to like the cream of the top.
I think he's going to go to Bologna or some team like that. Actually, you know what? Luis Enrique, remember from Betis, who's balling out at Botafogo and making some good performances with Seleção. I think he just got linked to a Serie A team. I can't remember which one it was. But he's going to Serie A. So he was just at Betis, goes to Botafogo, and now going to Serie A. There you go. Once again, these teams,
Yeah.
Cannot let a guy like that go.
Nope.
You can't. And the product on the pitch is paying for it because now we're watching Abde sky every chance that he gets when he's near goal. I mean, it's
Sky is being generous.
yeah. That's all I got. That's my last disappointment. Sevilla, man, as a city, as a province, just not great right now.
With that said, tune into La Liga in 2025. It's going to be a good,
Great way
show.
to start the year.
Yeah,
Great
great
way to
product
There
all
we
the way
go.
around.
Hey, man, this is just like going to therapy. It's like cathartic. It's
100%.
like, hey, what's on
Get
your
it
mind
out.
today? What's bugging you? Yeah, I got it out. I got nothing
Yay.
negative to say. I'm good now.
Love
I
it.
have a tab on my phone right now that says biggest surprises of La Liga in a positive sense. I'm ready to go. I got like 7 bullet points for that. I only had
Love it.
2 for disappointments. So,
Facts.
you know, you can't hold that in, guys. You got to let it out. Otherwise, it'll eat at your soul. But I think we're going to end the episode there. Nobody has another one?
All good.
All right.
Chilling.
Well, those are your official biggest disappointments of La Liga from your Lengua de La Liga crew. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you smash the like button. We will be back soon. Now that the Christmas break is coming to an end for your regularly scheduled La Liga program. So hit subscribe for that. And we're also going to be doing more special episodes, kind of one-off episodes like this throughout the rest of the year, dropped at random. So don't miss that. Hit subscribe. Make sure you follow me and my co-host. All the social media links are in the description of this video. We'll see you guys in the next one.